time. I'll never be this young.
G'day friends, welcome to today's YouTube video. My name is James, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Today on screen, you will be seeing 22 minutes of clips that I've filmed at my desk, random stuff that I've done throughout the week. First up, we have the Daisy Style workshop samples that I've been finishing. I did a live stream doing a bunch of these actually, if you must know. I have not set a schedule for live streams, probably never will. And it's just, if I'm there, I'm there, and if you're there, you're there, and it's just lucky, I guess. But I hope I do catch you at one. If that is something you want to see, it's on Instagram. I don't do it on YouTube because ever since those bots attacked our chat that one time, I just can't bear the thought of doing that again. But I don't know, Instagram always just feels a little closer to me than YouTube. So that's over there, really chill. I like to just chat, answer questions, have a good time. I usually get really chatty and want to flip every journal I've got. So I hope I do find you over there at some point. If not, totally understand. It is my fault for not scheduling them and letting you know when they come, but I just can't. I can't add another. And well, I mean, I can. Did you know this about me? I'm non-committal. I don't know if you do know this about me, because every time I show you something like a workshop I'm working on, I'm committed to it. But that's the thing. Once I do commit, it's like almost impossible for me to think about anything else and uncommit myself to things. And I find myself very inflexible. So to curb that, I just don't commit to anything. And they don't have to be flexible. I can do whatever I need to do. Anyway, so Daisy Style Workshop number 2. It's a sequel to the one I did last year. Exactly the same format, except this time it's 5 different styles to those first 5. Yeah, I'm really excited to get into it. Hopefully by the end of February, early March, I'll have that ready. And yeah, I had to make some samples for it. The course itself doesn't focus on finished pieces like this, just in case you are wondering. It's more drawing and sketching. And it really dives into unpacking all the different features of each of the different styles. Like this one I call the vintage style because it is almost the first style that I started working with when I started art journaling 10 years ago, a decade ago. Can you believe it? If you ever saw my Etsy when I was running an Etsy back then, it was very different, but I had these digi stamps. They were very popular back in the day. And I did these digi stamps and they were very much this style. They had this big head with this very whimsical looking face, and the body was teeny tiny with an object at the base. Like it wasn't so much a body as it was just a torso that connected to something else. And it could have been like a potion bottle, or there was a cauldron one, a star. I used to do them all the time. It's like I just do this face and make the base something completely different. So that's the vintage style. It is a little nostalgic for me. I don't really work with this style anymore, but it is something that is a part of my history, so I feel like I did want to teach it. But yeah, this is a very much finished version of it. I do a finished version of these things in each of the lessons, but it's a sped through video. It's not, I don't step you through the process of rendering, but I do step you through all of the style and the breakdown and the placement, the proportion, the features, and we experiment with different reworking those different derivatives of those, and it's just very sketchy. And you end up with tons of sketches of these Daisy characters, and I have loved some of the work that I've seen come out of this specific workshop. I don't usually see a ton of student work from self-study courses. Over the years that I've done live workshops and self-study, usually I see a ton of work from live workshops. And I think that's why I always encourage people to go live, because that camaraderie, that being in it and amongst it as it's happening does encourage a lot more sharing. So selfishly, that's what I enjoy. I like to see what my students get up to, but for the self-study, I don't usually see a lot, but this one I did see a bunch of work as well from this. So I really do think people got a lot out of it. That's just my biased opinion based on the analytics of how I sometimes see people respond to the workshops. I also have to factor in that a lot of people don't share from the workshop, and that's completely fine. Obviously, you can do whatever you want, but it's not a scientific opinion. But I do think people had a good time with this one, so I'm excited to make a sequel to it and release 5 new styles. I'm working in my planner there, got lots of things to plan, lots of things going on. I've been working in this journal as well, this one that I started February 1st. Do you remember I had gone through all the journals you might see in 2025, that video, earlier this year? This was in that shoebox of Traveler's Notebook inserts, and I picked it up on February 1st because I just had a desire to be in this journal I think there was something about it because I'd written it off. I thought, well, now I'm curious to know if I could save it. Not even save it, but like if it was workable. When I used to flip through this, I just thought there's a random assortment of things in here that I just don't see working out for a journal spread. Which is crazy because that's how I put the whole thing together, thinking, oh, this is great. This is great decoration for a journal spread. So I handmade that insert. I ended up having to sew it because it was originally stapled, but I did do a little saddle stitch across, I think it's called here, saddle stitch. I did go through that, just through the staple holes actually, so you can kind of see where the staples were. I actually think, yeah, there's 2 staples that are still in there. They don't go fully through the paper, but anyway, so I did that to reinforce it, and it is so chunky and it is so full and it's almost finished. So I just thought, well, I'll pick it up for February. If I use it a little bit, it's whatever, I use it. If I don't, I don't, whatever. But yeah, it's almost finished. Can't wait to show you that. I've had a ball, and it really makes me wonder if I should pick out another one and just bring that to life. I don't know, there was something really satisfying about working with the old with the new. I think it's like that vintage style for the Daisy Style Workshop. It feels nostalgic. It's been a decade since I started art journaling, so it is long enough time now for things that I first did to feel very nostalgic. And you know, nostalgia is my favorite emotion, so these are very emotional experiences I'm having going through these journals. Doesn't that sound crazy? Anyway, here I went to Sky Zone the other day, which is a trampoline park. I went with a bunch of friends from work, and I was expecting to be so sore the next day. But I don't know, my body's just been really holding up well lately, thank goodness. And yeah, it was great. Had an absolute blast. So I'm just looking for a spare space to journaling because you can see how full this already is. There's barely any space left, and I've doubled and tripled things up on pages. There's tip-ins, underneath flaps, inside envelopes. It's so chock-a-block full. It will never close properly again. And it's permanently molded to stay completely open. Not molded. What do you mean? What do you mean, James? I don't know how you say that. It's just, it's never going to be flat. Who cares? Love that. I love a fat journal. Anyway, next on my issues to discuss, my topics of conversation. Did you see this? I shared it on Instagram. This is Strawberry Moon magazine, and I was very lucky to be featured in this. This is actually my piece on the front cover as well. I did not know I was getting a cover story, and I was thrilled to bits. You couldn't even believe it. Here is me in the studio. You know what's so funny? You are set up right here, and this is me sat right, I'm not like this today, obviously, this is much more glamorous, but I'm sat right here in front of this table. Oh look, that's the shelf, that's right there. So, just in case you're worrying that wasn't my studio, I got a lovely feature in there, and I think that's the first time I've been featured in a magazine. I say that like there might have been another time, I don't know, but I'm sure it is. Definitely my first feature in a magazine. Well, I guess that I haven't created because I've created my own little publications, but this was really exciting. I don't know, it just felt really nice. I think a decade ago, if you'd asked me what I was expecting to get out of art journaling, I think I would have just said something to pass the time. I hope that I'll learn like a cute few new little tricks for when I'm dancing again and I have my spare time and I'm doing a little bit of arts and crafts. I did not know it would lead to all of this, and could not be more thrilled about it, to be honest. It's kind of one of those things, I don't know where I wrote this. Oh, I think I wrote it in the article. Let me see. Because I was rereading it the other day and I thought it just is so interesting that that is exactly what I think. Obviously, because I wrote it down. But I wrote, I'm so glad that this journey has led me this far, and I'm excited to celebrate a decade of my art journaling journey next year. Well, I wrote this last year. This was this year. My answers came last year, but I should have realized. Whoops. Anyway, I wish I knew I had this passion long before I found it in 2015, but I'm glad I found it nonetheless. It makes me wonder what else I am yet to discover about my own interests that could possibly change my life, ? I can't wait to find out and journal about it, because I really had no idea that all of this existed before I just stumbled across it. And I think there's so much hope and optimism in that thought that there might be so many other things that just exist out there that you haven't even come across yet that will literally change the trajectory of your life, that will take you into new passion and new creativity and new experiences, that you just would never have known about until you stumbled across it. So, not to get all sentimental on you, but that's just something that I found really interesting. And, you know, I'm thinking about it because a lot of what I'm thinking about right now, and now I will get sentimental and I will get very heavy and deep. A lot of what I'm thinking about right now is the end of my performing career. Very different to the idea of my dance career, right? I have dance, which I feel like I can teach, and I feel like I can coach, and I can workshop, and I can do all of this. That you don't really have to be any kind of age for. You can choreograph until you're 900 years old. Um, Perform is different. To actually be hired as a performer, to put yourself in a costume up on a stage and to have an audience say, yes, I want to watch you. You know, there's a lifespan on that. And a lot of the time it has to do with people's bodies, you know, maybe not being able to complete the task, if you want to call it that. Some shows are a lot harder than others. Some contracts require a lot more of, you know, use of your body than others. And the dancing that I like to do requires me to have like a really good use of my facility. I need to be able to thrash my head around and throw my body on the floor and swing my neck around for 25 minutes and like, you know, it's a lot. It takes a big toll on your body. And as we age, you know, things don't recover as quickly as they once did. And you can keep yourself in tip-top physical shape, which I have not. But you can really extend the lifetime of your performance career. But then there are some things that close off to you because the aging process itself is what will kind of count you out. And there are things that I used to do when I was 23 and 22 that I feel like are no longer options to me now because I have a little gray in my beard, or I just look older than I used to. And I don't even think I look old, but sometimes when you look over 30 and everyone else in the cast looks under 15, you look 80. So there's just that. I mean, performing is a visual based medium. Everyone's looking at you with their eyes and they're thinking things, and I think a lot of casting directors don't like them to think that you're old. So anyway, I used to be told that once I was 27, like, you'd be ending your career, like that'd be winding it down. But you know, I've had a lot of friends that have really, I mean, they've danced really well into their 40s. So I can't tell you when it's going to end, but I do know that I'm over the hump. I'm over the hill, and I'd be on, you know, the winding down path. And I have nothing in my heart wants me to stop. Like, there's absolutely if anything, I've wanted it more than I've ever wanted it before. Even in all those 7 years of me trying to get back to it, I think the more I experience it, the more I want it. Like, it's crazy. It's this exponential desire that I have to perform because I'm such an attention seeker. But there must be some truth to that, obviously. I just love to perform. I really do. I feel like that's where I feel most comfortable, most confident. I feel like it's something I really trained to do. I don't have imposter syndrome with performing. Like, I just feel like I know what I'm doing, and that's where I feel like I can turn my brain off. Ironically, I turn my brain on for so many other things, but when I get out and I start dancing, my brain is off. I'm in this like euphoric state where it's like life is so easy. Life is great. So obviously I'm human and I try to chase down that feeling a lot, but yeah, I'm conscious of the fact that I'd be choosing things now that would shape the end of my career as a performer. And I'm just looking for new opportunities. And I think even as I'm looking for new opportunities to perform, I'm also preparing for what my opportunities look like when the performing is slowing down. And whilst I love art journaling, I will just be really brief and honest about this. No, I'm not honest, but I don't usually share the financial side of art journaling and my business because boring and crass. But this jlbCREATIVE is not as lucrative as it once was, and there's a ton of reasons for that. Obviously, you know, my content has not changed, but you know, the output is lower. I don't put out as many products as I used to. I don't do as many workshops as I used to. I don't do Patreon often. Like, the things that I do to generate revenue for jlbCREATIVE there was less. I put less there as I was taking some of those eggs and putting them into the dancing basket. I just couldn't split myself the same way that I had been devoting so much time to it before, when it was my sole focus, and when I was also, like, honestly, a little bit addicted to work and a little bit using it as a distraction for everything. So anyway, beyond all of that, I've had to consider, how you pay your bills in the future. Like if this really does, if your JLB Creative winds down and becomes much more of a hobby and a passion again and less of a business, then you need to compensate with that for somewhere else. And where are you going to be putting your efforts and your time and your talents? And I can't really count on performing either, because that's one of those things that, as I know it now, is like a month here or 2 months there, or maybe I have 6 months off from a certain job. Like I haven't been at Disneyland in months because a lot of what I do there is so seasonal, or it's a special event. It really pops up for 1 or 2 days and then I'm gone again for a month. So it's very sporadic, my opportunities to perform. So therefore, the income I make from that is sporadic, which is not a great way to pay bills. So I've been thinking about other things, and also, I don't know. There's a couple of reasons. One, I do consider it as a part of like a career move to be able to teach again. I used to teach dance and host workshops and do little pop-up classes and here and there. I was never a dance teacher. Like I was never one of those people that committed to it full time for any amount of time. I would say it was mostly just a guest teacher, much like I do in Art Journaling the Magic, or for Mindy Lacefield. Like I would just pop up, teach something, maybe I'd pop up again and teach another thing a year later, but I was never full time with that. So I have been thinking about going back into that, and I have actually rented out a space for tonight, and I'll be hosting my first little workshop. I can't say first, I've done it before, but I consider all the teaching I've done in the past to be fully in the past and irrelevant now. So I'm going to say I'm starting again from today. I'm going to host a workshop. And not only do I think this would be good as an option for my career moving forward, to go more into teaching and into choreography and into workshops. I love the creativity in that. It's a different kind of experience than performing, but there is a performance element to it. I still, especially nowadays, we have phones we can record it with. I can share it to YouTube, or I can share it to Instagram. So there is still a performance element to it. I still have an audience, which I like. There's no costume. I guess I could just dress up if I wanted to. But I think beyond that, like I'd never loved teaching before I started teaching in art journaling. I used to find it a little difficult because my patience was so thin, and I was a very aggressive coach. I think I was just like a nasty teacher. I don't know why. I was taught by a lot of people who were like very hot-headed and had very strong opinions, and they were strict, and the discipline was crazy, and they said things you can't get away with saying anymore. It was just a different time back in the early 2000s, late 90s. Anyway, all of that to say, I think the way I learned to teach, I wasn't fully aware of what you could actually achieve through teaching and coaching until I saw art journaling, and until I learned how I wanted to teach and how it was effective to teach. And now I am actually really excited to go back into it and to share my knowledge. I think before I used to think teaching was about wrangling a whole bunch of people and getting them to produce an outcome. And now I feel like teaching is my opportunity to impart my passion and to give over my joy, and to really dive into. And it's interesting because it helps me focus more on what actually is enjoyable for me. Of course it broke. The camera stopped. There was no free space on my phone. Right as I was getting to the end. Anyway, I've just deleted a whole bunch of videos. I'll be good. We should make it to the end of this video. I have made it difficult in the sense that it's quick and there's a lot of like little bits of technique in there, and I'm really excited to teach that because it's mostly, I've invited a whole bunch of my friends from Disney and from Knots, and so it's just a free workshop. Like I've rented out the space, it's just gonna be free for everybody. We can have a great time, laugh, play, grab some footage, and just enjoy that. But I'm using it also as a teaching tool for myself because I want to reacquaint myself with teaching dance. Because with art, it can be very subjective. With dance, there is a wrong way to do something, and then there's a right way to do something, and then there's the artistry that you add on top of it. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that I feel a little nervous because I remember being such a nightmare of a teacher. I just feel like I was really horrible to the poor children. So this is a learning experience for me, and hopefully I'm trying to just feel like it's how I teach my art journaling, but it's dance, and I'll be passionate about it, and I'll remember to be encouraging and to break things down and to do it nicely. But yeah, it's a bit of a learning experience for me too, in how I want to move forward as a dance teacher, as a workshop instructor, as a coach, as a mentor. I would just really like to share so much of what I like about dancing, so much of what I've been taught, so much of what I've learned over the years that I think could just help people, on their journey be better performers. And I would just really love to do all of that, and mix that in with my performing right now. Hopefully by the time the performing winds down, this is already its own thing, and it's just a smooth transition in and out of everything, but you never really know. So I'm going to plant all those seeds right now. I'm going to water them, and the flowers will grow as they grow, and I will harvest, and I'll smell the roses, and it'll all be great. But yeah, I'm a little vulnerable about it. It's a little nerve-wracking. So look out for my Instagrams. I'm sure I'll share more of that later, maybe tomorrow. I'm really excited. I'm really excited. My overwhelming feeling is excitement. So that should be great. Thank you so much for watching. I gotta go work on my workshop before I go do that. So my Daisy style workshop, then my dance workshop. My head's everywhere, but I hope you have a lovely day, a wonderful weekend, and I'll catch you again really soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.
I'll never be this